Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for December 30, 2021, the Ghislaine Maxwell found guilty edition. And we begin with that story from the New York Times. It appears that the victims of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell finally got some justice as Ms. Maxwell was found guilty today by a federal jury in Manhattan. She was found guilty of sex trafficking and 4 other charges against her. She was acquitted of 1 count of enticing a minor to travel across state lines to engage in illegal sexual activity. The verdict came late in the afternoon of the jury's 5th full day of deliberations after the jury sent a note out that they had obviously reached a verdict. The sentencing will be held at a later date, and can only say that at least someone was convicted for the hard crimes that these people engaged in. Next up, from the Decclan Chronicle, a first-time contributor to the Daily Compliance News. You want to know why we lost Afghanistan? Well, here's Exhibit A. Former Afghan President Ghani is listed among the most corrupt people of 2021. He was named one of the most corrupt officials by the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, a nonprofit investigating reporting platform for independent news outlets. He's in pretty stellar company. The Belarusian president, others include Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and, of course, disgraced Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz. So when people want to know who lost Afghanistan, well, the Afghanis lost Afghanistan, not Joe Biden. Next up, the Securities and Exchange Commission has charged the Medallion Financial Group and its president with fraud for trying to inflate the stock price. This is a lender to Taxicab medallion buyers. The complaint was filed in Manhattan Federal Court, and it sues both the company and the president. Claims that they paid a California media strategist to anonymously promote Medallion on websites, including the Huffington Post, Seeking Alpha, TheStreet.com, and Crane's New York Business. According to the complaint, Merstein also fraudulently inflated the value of Medallion's banking unit to offset loan losses, and against the auditor's advice, fired a valuation firm that refused to vet the scheme. So, fraud in the taxi industry. I'm shocked. And finally, from Bloomberg, the rocket startup Firefly is owned by Max Polyakov, a wealthy Ukrainian tech entrepreneur. The U.S. has asked that he sell his stake for national security reasons going forward. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.